In the first part of this video, I discussed why I think athletes and really anyone going on some sort of journey should try and build a personal brand around why they're doing and the reasons for that, so go check that out first. In this video, I kind of want to discuss with you guys about why I think the Olympics should really take advantage of the athletes building these personal brands, why they should encourage it, and how they can utilize it to really build popularity for the Olympics coming around every 2-4 years. For me, when I'm sure the rest of you guys, you're not really committed that much to the Olympics. Like when it happens, you're like, oh, I didn't even realize it was on. Maybe I'll watch, some of the events. I mean, for me, I had a whole setup here where I had 4 or 5 different sports going on at once. But I didn't necessarily feel connected to many of them. However, the ones I did feel connected to are the ones that had athletes who had already built personal brands. I'm talking Sam, let's go, buddy, got this, woo! Tom Daly, people I've already seen pop up on my YouTube feed, week after week, month after month, year after year, and I had already built some sort of positive connotation with. And I think the Olympics can really take advantage of this to get people more committed to the sports that are happening, even if it's maybe something that, people generally wouldn't be interested in. A lot of the time for the Olympics is, oh, it's on now for 3 weeks, okay, it's done for another 4 years, I won't think about it again. But if they can really emphasize these athletes' personal brand and really highlight the journey that these athletes are taking, it means people will be constantly interested in these athletes, interested in the Olympics in the 4 years running up to it each time, or even 2 years if you're trying to include all the Winter Olympics into that as well. And how I think the Olympics can really take advantage of this is by really looking at these athletes' journeys and being like, okay, can we be the centerpiece for this? Can we find interesting athletes going on these interesting journeys, highlighting their really interesting experiences, bringing them onto their own channel as kind of an aggregator and being like, these are the fantastic Olympians that are trying to train for these Olympics and people you should watch out for, people you should really pay attention to and build, for one, it's simultaneously building the personal brand of the athletes that are being highlighted, which means it brings more people to those pages, which means they can fund themselves better, which means they can probably commit more time to the sports, get better and better and better. As well as it allows people who are already fans of those athletes to come to the Olympics page and highlight all the other fantastic athletes that are training for these events. And it means I'm already committed to the Olympics and who I'm going to watch before it has even started. I'm like, what these fantastic people I've heard of or I've seen pop up, I'm going to, root for them. I'm going to really watch their event that otherwise I may just have not cared or forgotten about. And if the Olympics can really highlight this and become the centerpiece for building these athletes' brands, that they can now work full time to commit to these events, that now builds audience engagement around each of these athletes and maybe around obscure events that otherwise don't get much attention, they can really boost the Olympics up to a status where it is the pinnacle of human achievement. It's in everyone's mind of, I want to be an athlete, I want to be Olympian, not just something that happens to roll around every 4 years and you're like, oh, it was nice watching Usain Bolt, but I'm going to move on, but really be the center point for human achievement. I think if they can really utilize this, that can be something that they can very, very easily do by the next Olympics that rolls around. Once again, if you want to see the first part, I'll link that right here. If you have any thoughts as what you think the Olympics should do, I'd love to hear it down in the comments as well, and I shall see you guys in the next one.